Everyone, we are live. Welcome to the spaceship. Glad to see y'all in the chat. And we'll be starting the game soon. And you could even be watching this from space or Mars. Or Planet 10. Alright. Put chat in here. Chat in here. Put them here. Alright, there we go. And hello, Way of the Road. Hello, Amanda. Glad to see y'all. Hope everything's going well, that y'all had a good week, and that y'all have a good weekend. And about to start it. Let's start the game. Yeah, so today was real busy. Get into the game part. Okay, let's see. All right. All right, the game is loading. All right, here we go. Put the game in the other window. Well, I had the window right here. I'm just going to put y'all in a different window. That's what I meant. And here we go. Pirates. Let's see. Okay, now we're playing the game. Like we were in Cuba last time, we're in Cuba this time. Hello, Stranded. Good to see you. I'm going to upload a video. And so that's what I'm doing. And we're going to talk with the Headless Horsemen and stuff like that. Again. And some more information about the Headless Horsemen. That'll be good. Alright, there's the ship. We're going to go around. Okay? Alright, well, I'll continue. Yeah, I like being up at night. I think nighttime's pretty cool. Alright, we're going to start, traveling around, and then we'll do the other stuff later. With the what's it called? Headless Horsemen. I'm definitely a night owl. I definitely am. I don't know about all of you, but I am. Hello, Stranded. Glad to see you in chat. I hope that you had a good week and that you have a good weekend. Good to see you, Way of the Road, and everybody. So yeah, so basically, I was just doing stuff with my grass, as I said, and the grass around here, and I was, seeing that my different flower plants have bloomed, because they bloom in the fall. And the cooler weather is coming down here. It's cool tonight. And I talked to one of my friends earlier from school. It was a pretty good conversation. It was funny. Okay, Way of the Road, I understand. I love nighttime. It's just, because it's very quiet. There's not many people around. I think nighttime's awesome. And I do agree with you, Amanda, about nighttime. That makes perfect sense. It's more quiet and peaceful. I also like looking at the stars and stuff at night, as y'all know. I was up late at night because it's like it was much cooler at night and there wasn't as many people around. There isn't like, and it's nice and quiet and dark. Yeah, that's the zombie pirates. These are the zombie ones. Oh, because of your dogs? Yeah. And I do like daytime. I remember, like, I'll tell you all a story. So basically, I, when I was in, like, my senior year and stuff in high school, I went out and like, yeah, so, my friend and I, we used to watch Inception at night. We were at his place, down the street. My friend I used to do stuff with. He moved away because he moved out of his mom's house. And he did something different. And basically, I remember we would stay up all night and watch movies. And I would watch the sunrise, and it was just the most epic thing ever. I love seeing the twilight and stuff. I mean, it was, and then I started staying up later. At the time, texting my girlfriend. It was really nice, and that's how I got into it. And she says, "That's good, Alien. It's nice that you have good friends from school, even though we live in different states. Now I still have friends from preschool." Oh, that's great, Amanda. And I still have a lot of friends from school, but a lot of them just kind of went their separate ways or got into different things, and they drifted from me. But some of them will come back, some of them don't. And Stranded says she was getting her snack. Don't get me started about her week. Yeah, it was alright. I can imagine, Stranded. I can imagine. And I have a friend from first grade, Nash. I have him. And we went to the pirate, the Black Pearl. We went there in Lafitte, Louisiana, and we saw that thing. And we saw the areas in Lafitte where the pirates were, and there was hangings and stuff there. It was really interesting. And he went to North Shore, so it's like north across. So there's like New Orleans where I am, and north of me there's a big lake called Lake Pontchartrain, and my friend is on the other side of Lake Pontchartrain. I'm on the south side of it, south side of Louisiana. Alright, here we go. Smash right into him. Hello, Sandra. Wink. Alright. Nice to see you, Sandra. Glad to have you here. Glad you could join us. That's good, Amanda. I came from a small school also. I came from a small private school. And just some of the people, they mean well, but they have personal problems in their minds. So, but not all of them are bad, and just some of them were kind of shady. Some people just drifted away, but I do stay in touch with a lot of them, though. The character does have a name. It's Edward Warwinds, like Warwinds, and I'll check it in a moment, make sure I'm right about that. But yeah, it's Edward Warwinds, and the ship is called the Relentless Titan. All right. Yeah, so the name of the character is Edward Warwinds. Game is called Try That in Woketown. Try that in a Woketown. And also, I'm excited to do the next part of the... We'll go and review the Headless Horseman again. And glad that we have Stranded here. And thanks again for that, Stranded. Yeah, I win. Also, we were talking about like the Mothman again and the different alien sightings that are happening. Around the different places. You know, in the different areas. Like there's different alien sightings and stuff we were talking about. And we met some new people in chat yesterday. And this will probably be similar to like before. Like the stream like that was supposed to be last Friday. Right. I'll get to you in a moment, Stranded. Fixing up this ship. Because we had some problems because of the war I just got into. Alright, we fixed that problem. Okay, Stranded says, do you pick the names or are you just assigned by the game? I can also, another time, I can make a new character because you can make multiple characters in the game. I can make some new characters and show you how you make a character in a game. But so basically they give you a chart, similar to like when I bought the ship. When I bought this ship, they give you a bunch of options about what kind of like name you could have. You could choose Edward, George, you know, Michael, and they'll have like a surname from that time, like Warwinds, Sea, Sweeper, that's something I made up, and like O'Morger, O'Reilly, like names from the British and pirate era. So that's basically like the name. They give you a bunch of options. Yeah, hashtag pirate life. Yeah, it is very cool. And also in the beginning, Jack Sparrow talks to you, and he like like you're in a prison cell, if I remember this correctly. And you're like in a prison, and he's like there with you, and he teaches you about being a pirate and how it works. And you go on a bunch of quests for the main characters of the movie. So like there's Will Turner, which is Orlando Bloom's character, and you'll have like Keira Knightley's Elizabeth Swann's character, and you do different tasks for them and get different levels. You're taught how to do sword fighting. You're taught how to do the guns, which is the flintlock pistol, the flintlock rifle. It's not anything we have, of course, in our modern age. This is from the 1700s. Ooh, we got him good. Doing this way so I'd minimize the damage that was done to my ship. A little bit more of a tactical way of doing it. We're by a strange island right there. Their ship's on fire. I got a pouch, and I'm going to just glide right into this island right here. Alright, full speed ahead. Shoo! I'll go to this island real quick, and I'll go show y'all like a tour of the game. You see, in the game, I saved money. Because I repaired my own ship. And this is an island with a bunch of crabs. And now I'm going to go to Tortuga. Thank you, Stranded. Alright. Thank you, Mary. So that's basically the situation. So, with the pirate, you know, they train you and stuff, and I think I went to the wrong island, but Tortuga was a pirate port. It's in the game before Davy Jones plays his organ. And that's basically, like, really epic when he plays the organ. And he's like doing this, and he's playing it with his tentacles. Alright, so this is the island. Like, this is a person right here. You see what their name is? Their name is Oli Lucre. Yeah, yummy crab legs. Alright, so I'm going to see if I could remember where Will Turner is. He's not in this one, but he's in one of these places. So, like, this is a tailor shop where people do tailoring. Yeah, so basically I'm looking into different places to find where he was. Because there's different characters on this island. Yeah, crab legs. Yeah, this is the... That's where they play cards and stuff. Oh, he probably would think that it's plankton. Yeah, this is the island of Tortuga. See, this is where the swords are. blacksmith shop. It's really dark in here. This is not where Will Turner is, but this is one of the blacksmith shops. Like, you can buy, like, swords here. And that's where these different things are. It's like a virtual world. We went in here already. They had different chickens and meat markets and stuff here. Ah, this is where it is, I think. Okay, so this is where Will Turner is. That's Orlando Bloom's character, Will Turner, right here. He teaches you how to do sword training. And see, like, you have these swords. And like like this is like when you go and fight a sword, you know, like they show you these little test dummy things. Yeah, so this is like when you're in the pirate training camp, like what they tell you to do. And like, say like a target practice. So you could take aim by holding down the left key and then fire. And it's glitching. Yeah, it glitched on me. So you that and fire. This is the gypsy, where you can buy stuff. We could buy potions and tonic to heal you. They could buy the voodoo staffs when you upgrade to that level. You have the voodoo dolls. You have the sword. It's a gypsy. This is the governor's mansion. I've not been in this part though. For some reason, I never went this far into it, into the back part. Oh yeah, Stranded. I know that voodoo is bad news. I agree that I think it's evil. It's just something in the game. It's not in real life. We're gonna be talking about voodoo on the show in the next live streams and why it's bad. So this is like different parts of the mansion. That's a guard. This is like her garden. Right here. And this is the garden. Yeah, that's the garden. That's her back of her house. Of her mansion. It's really her father's mansion. It's like where some treasure would be on different quests. Alright. And this is Elizabeth Swan. This is her office. That's her father, the governor. Alright, so that's somebody on a quest. That's seeing her for something. You see, like... That's her right there. Wait, y'all can see it this way. And Jack Sparrow, I think, is at Tortuga. This is a Halloween themed thing over here. It's pretty cool. Okay, yeah, this is my ship, and I upgraded the hull so it wouldn't have so much problems. I wouldn't be sinking all the time. And, like, you can sail this way. That's awesome, Stranded, that you got a baby pumpkin. I got a gigantic pumpkin recently. Alright, drink some water. Okay. This is the pirate port of Tortuga. We got some other people here. Like, this character is named Haunted. I love pumpkin patches. Hola, Latina. Good to see you. Oh, let's go to different islands. I mean, to different places in it. Yeah, so this is the Tortuga, the pirate port. This is like where the beach is. And you got like a dude that sells clothes right here. It's like a catalog. You know, people can buy these different outfits. Let's change this a little bit. Because I have different outfits and stuff on. Let's see. I have different vests and jackets in here. And like in the game, you can sell items. Like, say, I could sell this one. It's like a closet. They give you a limited amount of space to sell different things in it. And so that's how that works. And I'm going to change my outfit a little bit because I have some clothes on that can't be seen. I have some Caribbean outfit. So like that's my character without the jacket on. The vest. It's a Caribbean day shirt. Yeah, and that's another pirate hat I have. Looks good. And Never the Great Pumpkin. That was a good one. That's a jewelry shop. It's just like where you could style your hair and stuff or cut it. Like, say, like, that's my character. And you could add, like, facial hair. Like, you could add a bald head. You can add different hairstyles. And different hair colors. Like, you make your hair blonde. Or that color. Make your hair like that. And like, say, the beard. And like a goatee, or you could make it like a big beard. And when you make your character in the game, you can choose to have like the nose size, the hair, the face, the head, and everything. It's all really cool. You have all these different options. You have this really big beard. You have like a spiky beard. You have whatever that is. You could have a shaven face. Yeah, that's the one I have. The little mustache. There's different types of mustaches. You have the curly mustache. You could put a ponytail there. You could put a... Yeah, so that's pretty cool. Like in the game, you really are able to style your character. You can make a mohawk. You can make whatever that is. Hello, Rebel. Good to see you. I think you can. Or that's just might how the game looks. Like the game, I don't know if I put that on there. Or it just looks like that in the game. That's something I could go look into. This is a jewelry shop. Like you put these little different earrings, these rings on it. You could put earrings on it like that, which looks pretty cool, like a pirate look. Put big earrings. You could put those kind of rings. Put the nose piercings. The lip piercings. Put like rings. really cool. That's like brass knuckles. Yeah, Rebel, I'm glad you came here. It's good to see you, man. As always. Alright. And this is the part you go out to sea. You know, and as you know. Thank you, Latina, for explaining that to everybody in Stranded. It sounds delicious, Latina. Yeah, so basically, Latina's saying it's very good and it's made right and not overly sweet. Sometimes the pumpkin slices are gooey or more dried, like fruit. That's really cool. Alright, here we go again, chat. About to do some more pirate stuff. I'm doing one of my naval battles again on the Deep Blue. Alright, so. And I think, you know, the Mexican food is very good. Ah, that one went down. In this game, you can play as Spain or France and fight each other. So, like, you're asking about players fighting each other. Like, people could go to Spain or France to those islands and fight each other that way. Alright, gonna go this way. That sounds good, Stranded. That sounds very good. I got a whole crew up in here. Alright, I got my new crew up in here. Alright. Alright, and now I'm going to go ram into this other ship. Run me. This is so cool. Oh, we're sinking them left and right. She says, Stranded. I wonder if some people add some of those ingredients I don't eat. It often like that because I just baking pumpkins in the oven like a baked potato and adding butter and sugar nutrient. Yeah, I love pumpkin. And we're going to try to go into this ship and hijack it. Alright. Let's do this. About to board the ship. You gotta revive me now. So hopefully they go and help me out here. Okay. Let's see. They're gonna revive me now. Alright, I wonder what happens in this situation. Alright. Alright, let's try to go there. Where they are. Alright, so it looks like I could reboard my ship. That's pretty cool, I didn't know this. Hello, Essie. Good to see you. See if it lets me board my ship, because it's out there in the sea, because I got dead because of the attack, and now looks like it's not letting me launch the ship. Well, no, no one stranded. No one captured my ship. This is what happened. I was out, and we were boarding the other ship, and they won the battle. But I died in the battle because she wasn't able to revive me, and they were kind of split up. So, basically, no, I won. I beat them stranded. My crew and I beat them. It's just basically since I died, I can't reboard the ship, and they're kind of stuck there, and it's not letting me board the ship. So it's kind of like a messed up situation. Because I think last time the other people had some more powerful weapons, like the voodoo staffs and stuff. I know it's not real voodoo in real life. It's just something in the game. She was trying to revive me, but it wasn't working because the other guy was like all over the place, and they kept running her over. It was really important for them to revive me. I would have been able to have brought us back to the boat. And the game is either glitching or just not letting me do it. It's like my ship's like frozen out there. Okay, good. Now I could go back and fix the ship. It's lost. We didn't lose. It's just they lost because they didn't revive me. Because of the other, you know, they're gonna have to revive me. The next people that come on board. Alright, we're gonna do this again, but you know, see, like last time they had some people with some that were more coordinated than these people. It costed a lot to repair the ship. And tomorrow I'll be coming out with a story. Alright. Here we go. They're floating through the island. Okay, so they could just go through the island. That's crazy. Alright. Now I'm about to go get this ship. Okay, completely missed. Completely missed that one. Alright, good. Alright, this is pretty cool. We're going to this part. We're going to ram into this other ship. Charge. Go to this ship over here. We got some snakes around here. They go and lay out outside. That's cool. I think dogs are great. I like them a lot. All right, here we go. We're gonna go and hit this now. Go and fire. Okay, over here, we got this. We'll be getting into the thing soon about the Headless Horsemen. The other stuff I was going to talk about. Alright, here we go. I like German Shepherds. Those are good dogs. I remember when I was in Kentucky, my aunt and uncle had a Native American dog. It was really cool. His name's Max. Okay, so this island in this area, they have a lot of ships here. There we go. Now we're going to go and get this one. Alright. Getting this ship. It's going to be done. You see out here they have all these different ships out here to sink. Yeah, blenders are very good. I like blenders. Those things are cool. Alright, here we go. Nice, we're getting the big treasure now. Okay, so now we have these two ships and we're about to sink them. And I got my crewmate on here. Yeah, shout out to Blenders. Shout out to my crew also. When you have a crew, it's much better. Because in Headless del Fugo, this is where you'll have a lot of ships to sink out here. Alright. I'm going to sink a few more and I'll start on the topic with the Headless Horsemen. Alright, that's good. It's pretty funny. Hello, Duke Raoul. Good to see you, man. Playing the game for a little bit, and then for a little while longer. Then I'm going to go and start with the topics. All right, I got the skull and crossbones now. I've upgraded in the game. All right. Yeah, Duke, hello. I hope you had a good weekend, Duke. This game can get crazy. All right. All right, made up for the losses that we had. Alright, it was the same person from before. From the other ship that sunk. So she was the one that didn't save me in time. And it's good that she came back and came onto the thing. Alright. Oh, that's good. I made up for the losses from the ship sinking. Alright. Okay, I'm getting the thing ready. We're going to talk about the Sleepy Hollow. Okay. Alright, peace out for this person. Alright, so we're going to go into this other window. Okay, webcam. Alright. Alright, so I'm going to go over the Sleepy Hollow story again. I've got everybody here now. And shout out to Duke, Raul, and thank you for telling us about that, Duke. Alright, let us begin, and I'm going to say some exclusive information about the Headless Horseman in general, and about this particular story. So let's dive in. The Legend of Sleepy Hollow is an 1820 short story by American author Washington Irving, contained in his collection of 34 essays and short stories titled The Sketchbook of Geoffrey Crayon. Gent. Irving wrote the story while living in Birmingham, England, along with Irving's companion piece, Rip Van Winkle. The Legend of Sleepy Hollow is among the earliest examples of American fiction with enduring popularity, especially during Halloween, because of a character known as the Headless Horseman, believed to be a Hessian soldier who was decapitated by a cannonball in battle in 1949. The second film adaptation was produced by Walt Disney as one of the two segments in the package film The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Todd. Oh yeah, y'all know it. Shout out the Way of the Road. He knows it. He knows it. That's a good question. I could check the pronunciation for it. I've always pronounced it, and other people at school pronounce it as essay. That's something I could look into. Yeah, good question. From the listless reposts of the place and peculiar character of its inhabitants, who are descendants of the original Dutch settlers, this sequestered glen has long been known by the name of Sleepy Hollow. A drowsy, dreamy influence seems to hang over the land and pervade the very atmosphere. Gotta make this window a little bit shorter so this can fit in. Alright. Yeah, Rebel, I don't know how... I think it's... Yeah, I'll have to look up the pronunciation for that one, too. I've never saw that word before, but I'm just pronouncing it the way I think it sounds to me, but that's something I could also look into. It could be Ichabod or Ichabod, I'm not really too sure. Alright. The story is set in 1790 in the countryside around the Dutch settlement of Tarrytown, historical Tarrytown, New York, in a secluded glen known as Sleepy Hollow. Sleepy Hollow is renowned for its ghosts and haunting atmosphere that pervades the imaginations of its inhabitants and visitors. Some residents say this town was bewitched during the early days of the Dutch settlement, while others claim that the mysterious atmosphere was caused by an old Native American chief, known the Wizard of his tribe, before the country was discovered by Master Heinrich Hudson. Residents of the town are seemingly subjugated to various supernatural and mysterious occurrences. They are subjected to trance-like visions and frequented by strange sights, music, voices in the air. Inhabitants of Sleepy Hollow are fascinated by local tales, haunted spots, and twilight superstitions and accounts of the mysterious occurrences and haunting atmosphere. The most infamous specter in the Hollow is the Headless Horseman, the commander-in-chief of all powers of the air, and a tribute to also the devil, according to Ephesians 2:2. He is supposedly a restless ghost of a Hessian trooper whose head had been shot off by a stray cannonball during some nameless battle of the Revolution, and who rides forth in the scene of battle and nightly quest of his head. That's funny, Essie. And I'm going to look this up really quick, see if I could find the pronunciation of this dude's name. I've never saw a name like this before. Ichabod. Okay. Thank you, Rebel, for pointing that out. Alright. So, the legend relates the tale of Ichabod Crane, a lean, lanky, and extremely superstitious schoolmaster. Now, I think I originally, when I was reading it for the first time when Stranded sent it to me, I read it correctly, and then I must have deviated from my original pronunciation because I wasn't really sure how it was pronounced. He is a lean, lanky, extremely superstitious schoolmaster from Connecticut. Throughout his stay at Sleepy Hollow with light farm work, helping to make hay, mending fences, caring for numerous farm animals, and cutting firewood. Besides his more dominant role as the schoolmaster, Ichabod Crane also assists the various mothers of the town by helping to take care of their young children, taking on a more gentle and ingratiating role. Crane is also quite popular among women of the town for his education and his talent for carrying the whole budget of local gossip, which makes him a welcome sight within female circles, as a firm believer in witchcraft and the like. Education and his talent for carrying the whole budget of local gossip, which makes him a welcomed sight within female circles. As a firm believer in witchcraft and the like, Crane has an unequated appetite for the marvelous. Like when you're marveled by something, or the Marvel superheroes, or Marvel comics, it means like, wow. Which is only increased by his stay in the spellbound region, a Sleepy Hollow. A source of fearful pleasure from Crane is to visit the old Dutch wives and listen to their marvelous tales of ghosts and goblins, haunted locations, and the tales of the Headless Horseman, or the Galloping Hessian of the Hollow, as they sometimes call him. Throughout the story, Ichabod Crane competes with Abraham. I'm not too sure if it's Brom Bones or Brum Bones, but I think it's Brom Bones. That's an interesting word. The town Rowdy, an outsider, sees marriage to Katrina as a means of procuring Van Tassel's extravagant wealth. Brom, unable to force Ichabod into a physical showdown, to settle things. He was unable to force Ichabod into a physical showdown and settling things. It plays a series of pranks on the superstitious schoolmaster. The tension among the three continues for some time, and is soon brought to a head on a placid autumn night. The ambitious Crane attends a harvest party at the Van Tassel's homestead. He dances, partakes in feasts, and listens to ghostly legends told by Brom and the locals, but his true aim is to propose to Katrina after the guests leave. His intentions, however, are ill-fated as he fails to secure Katrina's hand. Following his rejected suit, Ichabod rides home on his temperamental plow horse named Gunpowder. You like the way I pronounced it before. I'll pronounce it like that again, sure. I like that way too. Alright, so I'm going to pronounce it the way I was pronouncing it before, because it's funny. Alright. So, here we go. Following his rejected suit, Ichabod rides home on his temperamental plow horse named Gunpowder. Heavy-hearted and crestfallen through the woods between Von Tassel's farmstead and the farmhouse in Sleepy Hollow, where he is quartered at the time, as he passes several purportedly haunted spots. His active imagination is engorged by the ghost stories told by Baltus' harvest party. After nervously passing a lightning-stricken tulip tree purportedly haunted by the ghost of the British spy, Major Andre, in silence, the teacher horrified to discover that his companion's head is not on his shoulders but on his saddle, in the frenzied race of the bridge adjacent to the old Dutch burying ground, where the Hessian is said to vanish, according to rule, in a flash of fire and brimstone. Before crossing it, Ichabod rides for his life, desperately goading Gunpowder down the hollow. However, while Crane and Gunpowder are able to cross the bridge ahead of the ghoul, Ichabod turns back in horror to see the monster rear his horse and hurl his severed head directly at him with fierce motion. The schoolmaster attempts to dodge, but it's too late. The missile strikes his head and sends him tumbling headlong into the dust from his horse. That's something I'll look into, Rebel. The next morning, Gunpowder is found eating the grass at his master's gate, but Ichabod has mysteriously disappeared from the area, leaving Katrina to later marry. That'd be a cool rap name. Who was said to look exceedingly knowing whenever the story of Ichabod was related. Indeed, the only relics of the schoolmaster's flight are his discarded hat. Gunpowder trampled saddle and a mysterious shattered pumpkin, although the true nature of both the Headless Horseman and Ichabod disappearance that night are left open for interpretation. The story implies that the horseman was really Brom, an extremely idle rider, in disguise using a jack-o'-lantern as his false head, and suggests that Crane survived the fall from Gunpowder and immediately fled Sleepy Hollow in horror of both the legends and having to do with his landlord. Never to return but to prosper elsewhere, or was killed by Brom, which may be unlikely since Brom was said to have more mischief than ill will in his composition. Ivering's narrator concludes the story, however, by stating that the old Dutch wives continued to promote the belief that Ichabod was sprited away by supernatural means, and a legend develops around the disappearance of the sighting of the Milliconley spirit. Milliconley spirit. No, Milliconley. Yeah. In a postscript, sometimes unused in certain editions, the narrator states the circumstances in which he heard the story of an old gentleman at a corporation meaning the ancient city of Ma- Matus. No. Manhattus, who didn't believe in one half of himself. Irving wrote the sketchbook during a tour in Europe, and parts of the tale may also be traced to European origins. Headless Horsemen were staples of Northern Europe storytelling, featuring the German and Irish Dúlhan, Scandinavian the Wild Hunt, and British legends. And were included in Robert Burns' Scots poem Tam O' Shanter and Bugers der Wild Jager, translated The Wild Huntsman, 1796. Usually viewed as omens of ill fortune for those who chose to discard their apparitions, these specters found their victims in proud, scheming persons and characters with hubris, arrogance. One particularly influential rendition of its folktale was the last of the legend of von Rupsel from J.K.A. Musas, literally retelling of German folk tales, Volksmärchen der Deutschen, 1783. During the height of the American Revolution, Irving writes that the country surroundings in Terrytown was one of those highly favored places which abound with chronicle and great man. The British and American line had run near it during the war. It had therefore been the scene of marauding and infested refugees, cowboys, and all kinds of border chivalry. The little picture in the left is him throwing the pumpkin at him. After the Battle of White Plains in October 1776, the country south of the Bronx River was abandoned by the Continental Army, occupied by the British. The Americans were fortified north of Peekskill, leaving Winchester County a 30-mile stretch of scorched, desolated no man's land. Vulnerable outlaws, raiders, vigilantes, besides droves of loyalist rangers and British light infantry and Hessian joggers. Renowned sharpshooters and horsemen were among the raiders who often skirmished with patriot militias. The Headless Horseman, said to be decapitated Hessian soldier, may have been indeed based solely on the discovery of just such joggers headless, corpse found in Sleepy Hollow, after a violent skirmish, and later buried in Van Tassel family in an unmarked grave in the old Dutch burying ground, the denouement of the fictional tale of the set of the bridge over the Pac Antico River in the area of the old Dutch burying ground in Sleepy Hollow. According to another hypothesis, the figure of the Headless Horseman, Ivring, could have been drawn from the German literature, and more precisely from the Chronicle of Spirats Opatawa by J. G. Karras, written in the first half of the 19th century. In the late 19th century, the police counselor Karras noted that the previous century inhabitants of the city were afraid to move after dusk of the Hospitalstraße due to the headless rider apparition seen there. Support of the hypothesis, according to the information taken from the work by Z. Cinco, entitled Polish recipient of Washington Ivring's work between Enlightenment and Romanticism from 1988, Walter Scott encouraged Ivring to learn German to be able to read the stories, ballads, and legends in native language. Ivring, while he was in aide de camp in New York to New Yorker Governor Daniel D. Tompkins, met an Army captain named Ichabod Crane in Shackles Harbor, New York, during an inspection tour of fortifications in 1814. Ivring may have patterned the character in the legend. Using a pseudonym, Geoffrey Crayon, with Rip Von Winkle. The Legend of Sleepy Hollow is one of Ivring's most anatomized studies and adapted sketches. Both stories are often paired together in books of other representations, and both stories are often paired together in books and other representations, and both are included in surveys of the American literature, early American literature, and Romanticism. Ivring's decompositions of regional cultural and his themes of progress versus the tradition, supernatural intervention, and the commonplace and plight of individual outsider in homogeneous community. Primate. Both stories are helped to develop the unique sense of American culture and existential selfhood during the early 19th century. Yeah, so that's when Ichabod was being chased by the Headless Horseman. Thank you, Latina, for talking about that. It's good that people know about tea and the type of tea you're talking about. Thank you. That's good. All right, so this is it. There's a 1922 silent film about it, The Adventures of Ichabod Crane in 1949. And Disney did one about it. And Tim Burton's Sleepy Hollow was very good. Looks like they had one of the Smurfs. That's pretty cool. Midnight Scary, the three-story of anthology of live-action shorts narrated by Vincent Price. Did that. So those are the different movies they did of that. And they had some music, they had theater, and audio. Alright, chat, this is the cool part. This is another cool part. This is about the Headless Horseman in itself. Like, where that comes from. I know, SC, that is something to check out. I agree. The Headless Horseman is a mythological figure who has appeared in folklore around the world since the Middle Ages. The figure is traditionally depicted as a rider upon a horseback who is missing a head. Depending on legend, the horseman is either carrying his head or is missing his head, and altogether, and is searching for it. Examples include the Dulhan from Ireland, who is a demonic fairy, usually depicted riding a horse and carrying his head under his arm. The Tiller Knight from the English tale of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. See, that is a story that I've covered through shorts. The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. In a short story written... Finally, that happened. A short story written in 1920 by American Washington Irving, which has been adapted into several other works of literature from the film, including the 1949 Disney animated film The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Todd, and 1999 Tim Burton from Sleepy Hollow. That's him. The Dolhan or Dolakan, Darkman, is a headless demonic fairy. This is an Irish folklore, usually riding a horse and carrying his head. Okay. Under his arm. He wields a whip made from a human corpse and immediately dies. In another version, he is the headless driver of a black carriage, the Coste Budar. A similar figure can, without a head, can be frightened away by wearing a gold object or putting one in his path. In Scottish folklore, the most prominent Scots concerns a man named Eowyn decapitated in the clan by Glen Kinnear on the Isle of Mule. The battle denied him a chance to be the chieftain, and both he and his horse are headless in accounts of his haunting of the area among the Highland Scotland diaspora in Cape Breton, Nova Scotia. Seeing an image or hearing the sound of the horse or headless rider is traditionally regarded as an omen of immediate death within the family. Hello, Duff. Good to see you. In Germany, the Headless Horseman stories come mostly from the Rhineland. Rather than using decapitation, the Headless Horsemen killed their victims simply by touching them. They were revenants who had wandered the earth until they had atoned for their sins, sometimes by doing good deeds for a stranger, but instead of showing their gratitude by shaking hands, the stranger and horseman held a tree branch between them, and the branch would wither and die rather than the stranger. Ivring traveled in Germany in 1821 and became familiar with Dutch and German folklore. In particular, the last of the Legend van Roosel. From Johann Karl August Musas, literally retelling the German folktales. In 1783, is said to have inspired the legend of Sleepy Hollow. So Washington Ivering's Gothic story, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, features a character known as the Headless Horseman, believed to be the Hessian soldier, who was decapitated by cannonball in battle. The comic book series Chopper, written by Martin Shapiro, is a modern-day reimagining of the Headless Horseman. It features a headless outlaw biker on a motorcycle who collected the souls of sinners. The only people who can see him are those who have consumed the strange new ecstasy, like a drug, triggers their sixth sense and opens the gateway to the afterlife. During the hallucinogenic high, the character who has committed a significant sins are hunted by the headless ghost. Once drug wears off, the victim is safe and behind the Headless Horseman's ghostly reach. So this is more of a background with the Headless Horseman. It's in mythology from the Middle Ages, different parts of Europe, so it wasn't just something from America. And since Tyne Duff just got here, I'm going to just kind of go over it another time. See what's going on here. This other thing. Let's see. All right. The Legend of Sleepy Hollow is an 1820 short story by American author Washington Irving, contained in his collection of 34 essays and short stories titled The Sketchbook of Geoffrey Crayon. And the plot of the Headless Horseman of the Sleepy Hollow is from the listless repose of the place, the peculiar character of its inhabitants, who are the descendants of the original Dutch settlers, is sequestered glen, has long been known by name of Sleepy. Brief up before you got here. That's all. And so that, saying that, I was going to say this, the brief summary of what we did. You can look back later and see the rest of it. Now I'm going to go into the next part. Oh yeah, that reminds me. I was going to do something else here. Let's look at who Ichabod exactly is. Oh, way the road. There's tons of mosquitoes down here. Where I am. So this is the next part of what I was talking about. This is Ichabod Crane. And I'm pronouncing it a certain way because it's the way I pronounce it. And that's Ichabod seeing a ghost. He's kind of freaked out. Ichabod Crane is a fictional character and the protagonist in Washington Irving's short story, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. Crane is portrayed in the original work in most adaptations as a tall, lanky individual. He is a local schoolmaster, strongly believes in all things supernatural, including the legend of the Headless Horseman. Crane eventually tries unsuccessfully to court the heiress Katrina von Tassel, a decision that angers Abraham von, the local man who also wishes to marry Katrina. After supposedly proposing to Katrina, Crane is headed home a long night when the Headless Horseman appears, chases the schoolmaster into the horseman, throws his pumpkin head at him, causing him to mysteriously disappear without a trace. So this is like Ichabod Crane, like who he is, and like his issues. So Ichabod meaning without glory in Hebrew, from biblical name of the grandson Eli, the high priest and son of Phinehas. Irving might have borrowed the name from that of Ichabod Crane, a colonial U.S. Army in the colonial U.S. Army during the War of 1812, whom he met in 1814 at Sackett's Harbor, New York. According to the notion by Irving and a certification written by longhand by Martin van Braun, the pattern van Braun's words from the character of Ichabod Crane was based Kinderhook, schoolmaster named Jesse Merwin, born in Connecticut, whom Ivring befriended in Kinderhook, New York in 1809, whose friends continued pen pal correspondence for 30 years. Kinderhook's original schoolhouse is now owned by the Columbia Country Historical Society and called the Ichabod Crane Schoolhouse, the area's modern-day school district. Ichabod Crane Central School District is also the name of the character. It is claimed by many in Tarrytown that Samuel Youngs is original, from whom Ivring's Drew had character of Ichabod Crane. Author Gary Denise asserts that while the character of Ichabod Crane is loosely based on Merwin, it may include elements of the Young's life. In his appearance is like an old goofy scarecrow who escapes the cornfield. He's described by Ivring as a story of a tall, exceedingly lanky for shovels. His head was small and the flat top with huge ears, large green glassy eyes, and long snipe nose, so that it looks like a weathercock perched upon his spindle neck to tell which way the wind blew. Ichabod Crane's scholars certainly were not spoiled. He administered justice with discernment rather than severity, taking the burden of the backs of the weak and laying it on those of the strong. He made little money as a schoolmaster. His wages were scarcely sufficient to furnish him with daily bread. He was able to sustain his work through the help of locals, who, according to the country custom in those parts, boarded and lodged in the house of the farmers, whose children he instructed. With these he lived successfully a new week at a time, thus going to rounds of the neighborhood with his worldly effect tied in a cotton handkerchief. Ichabod was also known as the singing master of the neighborhood, and often on Sundays would take his station in front of the church gallery with a band of chosen singers, where in his own he completely carried away the psalm from person. In addition to his work as a schoolmaster, he instructed young folks in psalmody. Caleb Stegall suggests the most distinctive characteristic Ivring gives Ichabod is the psalm singer. So he has the ladies, he's a school teacher, and he's just very popular. Ichabod as being a well-read in the literature of super in the history in the story. He was estimated by the women as a man of great erudition, for he had read several books quite through, regarded the master of cotton matters, history of New England, witchcraft, in which, by the way, he most firmly and politely believed. In addition, he looked in the pleasure supernatural story or superstition was hard for him to believe. He often would share his belief and reading with others, delight listeners equally by anecdotes of witchcraft and direful omens, portentous sights and sounds in the air which prevailed in earlier time of Connecticut, and would frighten them woefully with speculations upon comets, shooting stars, with the fact that the world did absolutely turn around and that they were half of the time topsy-turvy. Ivring describes Ichabod, a man being considered kind of idle gentleman like prestige, or vastly superior taste and accomplishments to the rough country swans. And indeed, an inferior leaning only to the person. Ichabod spent ample time tales of supernatural and discussing local gossip. He is described as like a traveling gazite, carrying the whole budget of local gossip from house to house. That his appearance was always greeted with satisfaction. It also is said to have another of his sources of fearful pleasure was pass along winter evenings with the old Dutch wives as they sat spining by the fire with row of apples roasting, spluttering along the hearth, and listened to their marvelous tales of ghosts, goblins, and haunted fields, and haunted brooks, and haunted bridges, and haunted houses, and maybe even haunted spaceships. I added that part. And particularly, the Headless Horsemen, or Galloping Hessian of the Hollow, as sometimes called him. And it says how he encountered the Headless Horseman, the ghost of a Hessian soldier who was decapitated by cannonball during the American Revolution. Ichabod flees with the Headless Horseman, pursuing him, eventually crossing a bridge near the Dutch burial ground. Because of the ghost is incapable of crossing the bridge, Ichabod assumes that he is safe. However, before Ichabod can react, the Headless Horseman throws his severed head at him, knocking him from the back of his own horse and sending him tumbling headlong into the dust. The next morning, Ichabod's hat is found abandoned near the church bell bridge, and close beside its shattered pumpkin. Ichabod is never seen again in Sleepy Hollow, and is therefore presumed to have right on way of the road. You know, and like Jesus, like he chased the Pharisees out the temple and he whipped them. And Jesus was not like he when somebody was doing something blasphemous or something, Jesus fought back and held his ground. So it's nothing wrong with Christians holding their ground for some kind of reason. Because Jesus was righteous and just, but he wasn't like some kind of a fairy that was nice to everybody. He brought judgment and conviction on people. All right. So those are different things about Ichabod Crane, the character. All right, this is the real Ichabod Crane that all these stories are based off of, and it's a very interesting. No, I believe you should be nice to everyone. You should be nice to everyone, especially if you don't know them. But, like, you know, in another topic, don't be deceived, and if there's something wrong or bad, feel free to expose it. So, Ichabod Burnett Crane, in 1787 to 1857, was an American career military officer for 48 years and probable namesake of the protagonists of Washington Irving's Sleepy Hollow. Crane was born in Elizabethtown, now Elizabeth, New Jersey. He was son of General William Crane. He enlisted in the United States Marine Corps. Like a frigate is a flatter version of the ship that I drive. The ship in the game that I pilot is a Galilean. And a frigate is more of like one of those straighter ones. Commanded by Stephen Duclar. He served aboard the United States for 2 years. Crane resigned from the Marines in April 1812. So he was in the Marines. Seeing how like Marines and people dressed in the 1700s is vastly different how people in the military dress now. Crane resigned from the Marines in April 1812 to accept a commission in the United States Army as a captain in the command of the Company B 3rd Artillery Unit, designated would later be Battery B, 1st Artillery, today 2nd Battalion, 1st Air Defense Artillery. During the War of 1812, Crane served on the Niagara frontier. He was assigned command of artillery battery of Fort Pike, which he helped construct in Sackett's Harbor, New York, and was involved with the capture of April 27, 1813 of Fort York, and at the end of May 1813, capture of Fort George in Canada. While Crane and Americans were capturing Fort George, a joint British-Canadian force attacked the American positions at Sackett's Harbor in the Second Battle of Sackett's Harbor. Crane continued to serve the Northern Department after war in 1820. His company was transferred to Fort Walcott in Newport, Rhode Island, where Crane served as the fort's commander. While stationed at Fort Walcott, his son Charles was born. In 1825, he was brevetted to the major, and the 4th Artillery was transferred to Fort Monroe, Virginia. In 1832, led to 5 companies of troops from Fort Monroe to Black Hawk War. Alright, so this man did a lot in the U.S. Army to protect the country from the invasion so it could be United States. And he was in the Marine Corps, the United States Army. I always like the information that y'all send. You know, when my German relative came to America, he was discriminated against for his accent. And I think that, you know, like the leftists and stuff, they only talk about certain things. They don't, to fit their narrative, they don't talk about, like, real things. They just make all these smoke and mirrors. Alright, and he was, so basically, he was the 4th Artillery and was transferred to Fort Monroe, Virginia, 1832. Crane led the 5 companies of troops from Fort Monroe to Black Hawk War. He received a promotion to lieutenant, colonel, in the 2nd Artillery in November 1832 and was transferred to Buffalo Barracks in Buffalo, New York. Reminds me of Buffalo Wings. He commanded the 2nd Artillery Unit in the 2nd Seminole War and acted as commander of the U.S. Army District of Northeast Florida, serving under Col. Zachary Taylor, who commanded the 1st Infantry Regiment, Fort Crane, South Roche, in Alachua County. Was named after Crane, built in January 1837, and was fort commanded by Lieutenant John H. Winder. After serving in Florida, Crane and his unit were transferred back to Buffalo Barracks. And also, Latina says a Spanish woman asking for help. Walmart said she's been in USA for 30 years, wanted me to translate. I told her she needs to learn some English. She said no need, for her daughter was well educated, making lots of money here in the U.S. If, you know, people want to come here, they could come here the correct way. I do think that. Okay, Way of the Road, thank you for telling me about that. But my ancestor was here in America during World War I. And so there was a sentiment against Germany, so that's why people didn't like his accent. But it just had to do with that time period in World War I, not World War II. My uncles, they fought against Hitler in World War II. They were in the army to fight him from America. But my ancestor came here. He was during World War I. He had some problems, so that was just a personal story. It reminded me of that. But yeah, like tourists can come here, people could come here, but yeah, people need to learn the language and stuff in this country. You know, I do agree with that, Latina, and that's good, Latina, that you act like that. That's good. Oh yeah, another thing I was gonna say about that is that with the family, that is a they want to deport. It would be next week is when the hearing happens, everybody. So we'll find out what happens then. So this family in Germany that came here from Germany wanted to homeschool their kids in Germany. The Germans wouldn't let them, and they came here and they want to deport them back to Germany. So the hearing thing will be next week, and hopefully they pass and are able to say they're able to stay. Because I think that they should have the right to do what they need to do with their family, to homeschool them if they want to. And although personally, in my opinion, I think sending people to a private school or something is nice, and it's good for people to interact with other kids. But if they want to homeschool their kids, you know, that's their business. So yeah, I think that they at least should stay here in America. And I think about all the illegal people that are here now, like, you know, the bad ones, they don't do anything about that. It's very selective, in my opinion. During the Patriot War in 1838, an insurrection against British rule in Canada, he was tasked with the responsibility of preventing the U.S. involvement by preventing the smuggling of arms across the border. In mid 1843, he received his first promotion to colonel and was given the command of the 1st Artillery. Okay, Duff, thank you for coming. Thanks for coming. God bless you and good night. Thank you for stopping by. So this Ichabod Crane guy, he helped stop the border, people smuggling arms across the border up there in the northern part. So people, so the with the war, so the border in Canada. So that's interesting. So America has a history of protecting itself. Even back in the 1800s, they did that. Shout out to Tyne Duff. His grave marker bears an inscription. He served his country faithfully for 84 years and was much beloved and respected by all those that knew him. And yeah, the I don't mind talking about the political things somewhat. I do that too. I do a variety of different topics. And So that's like the grave that Ichabod's at. And the character of Washington's is so in Sleepy Hollow. It's what it's based off of. So this is the man that it's the Headless Horseman. And I mean the Ichabod Crane is based off of this man. Thankful for his service to the country. And also, basically going over to this window. And no, I understand Latina. And basically, it's like talking about it a little bit here and there is okay. It's not a big deal, in my opinion. Alright, so let's go. But as I said, the political things, it's like, I'll do it here and there. Like, it's based off of another conversation, Latina. Like, we're talking about, like, something else, and we, like, slip the other thing in there. Sometimes. It's alright. But as I said, we're going to stay on topic with the Sleepy Hollow and the ghost stories and things like that I'm about to get into. So, his grave is Stephen Crane, First Continental Congress, bayoneted by British troops, passing through Elizabethtown and their way to Springfield on June 23rd. Yeah, I'm trying to see Ichabod Crane's grave. Latina, I've not heard of that. Can you Can you? I'd like to know more about that. That's terrible, Latina. That they're digging up people's graves down there. I didn't hear about that. That's terrible. All right. So Asbury Methodist Cemetery in Springville. We'll see where that's located. So he's buried in New Springville, New York. Yeah, Latina, it's possible that they want to make something about race and they're just recovering artifacts, but that's very interesting. So we have a situation where the Native American graves are being excavated, and some are saying that they're being robbed, but perhaps that was just not exaggerated, and that basically they were just there, you know, just recovering artifacts. So that's something that's going on. Thank you, Latina, for mentioning that to us. All right, I'm going to be right back, everyone. Yeah, that is good they caught them. You know, it's not good to rob graves and bother somebody's resting place. I agree. That's funny, Duke. That's funny. Lights were. Oh wow, wow way of the road. That sounds crazy. Wow. Yeah. So basically, you know, this is the depiction of the Headless Horseman. That's him with Ichabod Crane. Yeah, so basically, let's talk about like grave robbing. Yeah, so basically, yeah, grave robbing, like in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, there's a grave robbery, and yeah, those things are very interesting. But yeah, no graves should be robbed, as Amanda said. I agree. Yeah, this is like from Frankenstein when they robbed the grave in Frankenstein. I have not seen the TV series, but I'm gonna check it out soon. I've been watching the movie, as I think you all know. I thought Frankenstein was an excellent, it was excellent, an excellent movie. Yu-Gi-Oh! That had a character like that. Yeah, that's funny. Grave robbers are working strictly for profit, while archaeologists are interested solely in research. So if someone's like researching an area, it's archaeology, and if somebody's just working for profit, it's a grave robber. This thing says. Yeah, Duke, you're real funny, Duke. All right. So what else we got here? Talk about the Mothman. Checking something. Yeah, so that's the Mothman. We talk about him on the channel sometimes. All right, thank you, Latina. All right, we're going to look at the article about the robberies. Alright, so man illegally dug up human remains, artifacts at Native American burial site, feds say. A group of wildland firefighters came across unearthed ago, according to the court documents. The items were scattered around piles of dirt, tools, and trash. American burial site that had been disturbed in Madre County. Service law archaeologists and detectives who arrived to investigate along Native American tribal members in July 2015. Court document says. Removing, excavating an archaeological resource on public lands without permission is illegal under federal law. So it is something illegal because they didn't have a permit to do it and they weren't supposed to do it. You know, so there you go. Officials suspected looters had repeatedly been to the site, which archaeologists believe dates back to 500 AD and was occupied until the 19th century. So they set up a trail camera to monitor the area. An affidavit says the trail camera eventually recorded a man visiting the site, leading to investigators identifying and interviewing him. According to the criminal complaint, which says the man told investigators he had evacuated the site and knew doing so was illegal. I know what I did is a crime, but I really enjoyed finding the shifting areas, the man says, and he really care and respect the culture. The man told investigators, the prosecutors. I was just thinking of corn. You hear that, SC? He was talking about corn. The commercial and archaeological value of the site, in addition to the costs needed. 6. The 35-year-old was sentenced to 3 years of probation and was ordered to pay $10,023 in restitution from unauthorized evacuation of removal of archaeological resources from public lands. The U.S. Attorney Office from Eastern District of California announced in the news release. Shout out to corn. During the probation period, he is banned from visiting public lands, including those overseen by the National Park Service, according to the pumpkin cookies sound like heaven. In a sentencing, Mem or Andron submitted on his behalf by defender Reed Grantham. Grantham wrote his client is remorseful for his actions and has taken responsibility for the moment he was contacted by investigators in November 2016. As difficult as it was, he has also had to have important conversations with his family and with his children about what happened here and the education them about how better respect the history of traditions of local Native American tribes. Grantham wrote in a sentence memo. There may not be a way for him to fully remedy his mistake here, but it's hoped that others may learn from this case to further education and discussions can be had to help prevent similar actions in the future, Grantham added. Prosecutors said. Oakhurst was 100 hours of community service. Oakhurst is about 50 miles from northern Fresno. Yeah, we are going to need some of Peach's pumpkins, Amanda. Shout out to Peach, and shout out to pumpkins. In West Virginia folklore, the Mothman is a humanoid creature reportedly seen in the Point Pleasant area, November 15, 1966 to December 15, 1967. And the first newspaper reported was published in the Point Pleasant Register in 1966. And I'll read a piece I have from my blog website. Oh yeah, Amanda, that is nice that she has a pumpkin patch for kids. Yeah, Peach is a sweet, sweet lady, and I'm glad that she was here yesterday and she reacted to some of the stuff she sent me, like about to say this recent sighting of the Mothman that happened. All right, close the other windows. All right. So I was showing Amanda and some of the people yesterday this article. So this was a sighting that Pete showed us about Mothman, and I made a blog article about it. This is a website I built and created. I own. And yeah, that is terrifying to see in a tree. Exactly, Amanda. Exactly. So, and I'm gonna go through this and read to, like, say Duke that wasn't here and didn't see this, and Peach did commentary on it in the chat about what the situation. So I sum up a brief history about the Mothman in this blog article. Let's see, I'm gonna move myself a little bit. All right, y'all could see this. Well, how about what is the Mothman? I'll move myself briefly so y'all could see this article. Alright, I'll be back in a moment. Well, I'm still here, but my face is gonna disappear for a moment while we read this. Alright. The Mothman is from West Virginia folklore and is a cryptid, which is a creature that may exist, but its existence is unproven or disputed. And they are either from an extinct or supernatural origin. On November 15, 1966 to December 15, 1967, newspapers in West Virginia reported the sighting that a couple, Roger and Linda, were driving one night and they see red eyes of the gargantuan flying creature, and it was flying and following them. Recently in Georgia, there was a sighting above and a debate on my YouTube channel that this was a couple of months ago. We were debating about it. I believed it was real, but some of the people weren't too certain about it. But then I have the more information to tell you all about it now. So on my YouTube channel, and it started about what this is exactly. I see this picture above while watching a cat. It was late evening and cloudy, getting ready for supper, when my good friend sent this to me, telling me their friend posted this. I am always skeptical, but I think it's real and not CGI or edited. I know a lot about paranormal images. I have seen real ones and fake ones. I am confident it's real, and explained to some of my subscribers that were skeptical about how it was real. At the time I had little info. I will now say here in the article what I revealed to my subscribers. The photo above is from a hunting tree cam in the deep woods, 20 feet up in the tree late at night, and other hunters saw it and were paralyzed in fear. The creature was over 10 feet tall and had glowing eyes. Multiple tree cams picked up on it, In my opinion, this is a new sighting of the Mothman. I know a lot about paranormal images, and I have seen real ones and fake ones. I am confident it's real and explained to some of my subscribers that were skeptical about the story and how it's real and stuff. And it was taken from one of those tree cams. It's way up high in the tree. Of a tree cam, but not the same one that was used in the actual sighting. The Mothman has wings and can fly around in the story. Above the original, people saw the Mothman. So they saw the Mothman flying around above them. So this thing, the Mothman can fly. That's where he gets his name from. And they saw the Mothman flying in the sky. The creature in Georgia flies into a tree. It was flying around. It was spotted flying around the Silver Memorial Bridge. So in Ohio, there's something called the Silver Memorial Bridge, and the Mothman was spotted around it. And before it collapsed, it was apparently spotted during the 9/11 terrorist attack, and before it happened. It's unknown, and basically how you see this creature is like can go through different dimensions and stuff, and the Bell Witch is a very good example of something that's interdimensional. So it could go to England or the Tennessee. It knew the Bible very well, this being. So the Bell Witch is an example. So maybe it's something like that, or there's multiple ones. A lot of this is simply a mystery. It has a strong resemblance to a fallen angel and the offspring of fallen angels and humans called the Nephilim. The Mothman is known to be like a Grim Reaper type figure that appears when something catastrophic happens. My experience with the paranormal since 3rd and 4th grade, my classmate and I studied aliens, and his dad told us many things as well. Many years later on YouTube, I started my channel, and I have received many testimonies from people that have seen paranormal sightings like the monkey demons. So when I ran the ads and I got people to see the channel, they're telling about some monkey demons they saw, which are these white things with black eyes that they saw them around, and different apparitions and things. So many people over this country have seen strange apparitions, like the aliens and things like that. So there's multiple things that we don't know of out there, and they all have glowing eyes. So all these creatures have something in common. They all have these glowing eyes. These glowing eyes. They're very tall, and they don't do nice things. And also, I have seen strange objects in the sky, and many others have. This may sound strange for some. I would feel the same way, but there are plenty of video evidence of sightings like this, like the image above. And those were some of the videos that I was talking about on my channel about the alien sightings, these ETs and stuff. And also next online, daughter saw the Mothman in the Rockies. So in the 60s, these people were driving at night and they saw the Mothman flying around in West Virginia. That's where it first came from. And some people suggested it could have been some kind of crane, but with the obvious things we've seen in the sightings, it's something more than that. That's unfortunate, Latina. So it happened first on November 15, 1966. And it was a young couple at Point Pleasant, and they saw creatures whose glowing eyes stand at the side of the road near the TNT area, the site of a former World War II mutants plant. And she described it as a slender, muscular man about 7 feet tall, with white wings, and said that she was unable to discern its face due to the hypnotic effect of its eyes. Distressed, the witnesses drove away at high speeds and said that the creature flew after their car, making a screeching sound. It pursued them at the Point Pleasant city limits. You've been there, Essie? That's pretty cool. During the next few days, other people reported similar sightings after the local newspapers reported it. 2 volunteer firemen who saw it said it was a large bird with red eyes. Mason County Sheriff George Johnson commented that he believed the sightings were due to an unusually large heron he termed a shitepoke. Contractor Newell Partridge told Johnson that when he aimed the flashlight at the creature in a nearby field, its eyes glowed like bicycle reflectors. Additionally, he blamed the buzzing noises from his television and set to disappearance of his German Shepherd dog. Shout out to Way of the Road. On the creature, wildlife biologist Robert L. Smith at West Virginia University told reporters that descriptions sightings all fit the sandhill crane, a large American crane. Like, they thought it was a crane, but in my opinion, and what Latina told me about, what Pete showed me, and other encounters besides them, including Next Online, is that this thing is really what they're saying it is. Like, with a lot of these conspiracy theories, it's like it's what the people said. Like, they think it could be this or that, and sometimes things could be wrong or skewed, but a lot of times it's exactly what they said. Like with Planet 10, scientists said there's a Planet 9. The government said there's a Planet 9 now, but they don't want to call it Planet 10 because it'll look like they were wrong. They don't want to call UFOs, they call them UAPs because they don't want to see that they were wrong. Got to remember the trickery here, right? During the next few days, other people reported similar sightings after local newspapers reported it. 2 volunteers, firemen, who saw it said it was a large bird with red eyes. Mason County Sheriff George Johnson commented that he believed the sightings were due to an unusually large heron term. Yeah, so that's what they thought. And also, the Mothman is in comics, like you can see here. Yeah, so that's basically like, and UFOologists have been talking about this, and it was in a comic, in the Batman comics. So that's what it was based off of. Alright, so I was looking at the chat for a second. So basically, this is some type of cryptid. Some may think it's some type of a bird, but there's certainly, as you can see over here, there's something going on. And another thing I'll say is these are other depictions of the Mothman. And we can see here, this is what it's depicted as looking like. You know, that's not a crane or a bird or something. And I think it's probably some... And in West Virginia, they have a statue of the Mothman. Right here. that's another depiction of it, a sighting of it. So we'll have, say, all right. So I'm gonna check something really quick. What's going on here? Yeah, all right. Well, we're going to have some. That completes that. Okay. Which has to do with the Halloween theme. About some of the haunted places, and Amanda saw the video. I mean, me read it last night, and I'll share it with you all now. All right. All right. So this is a place in California. Let's go that way. This way. Okay. So the town was founded in 1859. Bodie is the name of the town. And Black Taylor discovered a small amount of gold in the hills of north of Mono Lake, about 180 miles east of San Francisco. It was named after Bodie, but spelling was changed to avoid mispronunciations. About 16 years later, a mine cave in revealed a rich strike of gold ore, and the rush was on, transforming Bodie from a sleepy mining camp into a boom town. In late 1870s and early 1880s, the population of Bodie swelled to nearly 10,000, and the town boasted more than 600 saloons, dance halls, as well as red light district on Bonanza Street. It had a Chinatown complete with general stores, homes, boarding houses. Several hundred Chinese lived in Bodie, but as with all gold booms, mining returns soon began. 80% of the town. The post left in 1942 and 1950 census. Bodies officially had 0 residents. The town was designated how the farm town, the mining town in this place, what they were going through, and how the place burnt down, and that's very interesting because they have a lot of interesting ghost stories in here. All right. All right. Another haunting. Hell. All right. Terlingua. Situated in the Chichilian Desert, at the edge of Big Bend National Park, about 10 miles Santa Elena Canyon and the Rio Grande, in southwest Texas. Terlingua is remote and rugged. Sitting atop hard, scrappable, sun-baked soil dotted by scrubby shrubs, the mesquite tree is. Quicksilver was discovered in the area in 1880s, and several mining complexes began operation. Unlike the gold rush, meccas of the American West that seemed to spring up overnight, the growth of more gradual. The population swelled over the next 25 years to 1,000. At its height, during World War I, the town had around 2,000 residents. There have been 3 different Terlinguas, all in the southern tip of Texas' last population counties. That's very interesting. This is stuff at Creek was just 3 miles north of Rio Grande. But when mining operations began about 10 miles to the north, the Mariposa camp began known as a Terlingua post office. The post office moved 10 miles to the east to the Chizos Mining Company camp. Founded in 1903 by Chicago industrialists and Howard E. Perry, the Chizos began one of the country's leading producers of quicksilver over the next 30 years, around the outbreak of World War I. Chizos miners discovered an especially rich vine cinnabar, or as the military demand for mercury increased, the company's profit grew. Lingua. The town boasted a company-owned commissary and hotel himself. I told Amanda, and on the last stream in Super D, we were talking about on last Friday about silver and the importance of silver and gold, and how they're good hedges against inflation. And this is an example in early America, and it's good. I think that with silver, it's good because it's used in the green energy. There's a big green energy agenda. It's used in the touchscreens of the phones, along with gold with some things too, like gold teeth. And also, silver is used in so many different things, and they may not have enough silver. So I think that silver, in my opinion, is very undervalued. And they have some cool coins and stuff. And along with gold as well. And also, Perry's mining began to decline. Let's see. Chissos miners discovered an especially rich vein of cinnabar ore. As military demand for mercury increased, the company's profits grew, as so did Terra Lingua, and the town boasted company-owned commissary and hotel, a school, a company, doctor, our telephone service, and himself, like I said before, a 9-bedroom, Moorish estate atop a hill, production of Perry's mine. By the end of World War II, all mining operations ceased for people that left the area. Terralingia. The town is scattered wreaths because the soil is so rocky. Most bodies were buried under round piles of stone rather than underground. Cool stories in it, and it was interesting stuff I'd share with you all. And it's really nice. And also, Georgia's a nice state too. Those are two nice places. Because I went camping with some friends once, kind of far here, and it was almost. All right. Wow! Oh wow! A Spanish land grant. While way of the road, that's very important. It's good to adopt dogs, and we have a cat, Chester, and he acts like a bulldog because he likes to drool everywhere. And he's he's a tomcat. For many years of his life, he was a tomcat. I think that bulldogs are cute. I like them. Yeah, that is wild, SC. That is wild. Yeah, Way of the Road. That's a wild story, and that's interesting. Your friend had access to the land. In Colorado, as I said, Colorado has a nice mountains and they're like skyscrapers. It's very interesting over there. Way of the Road says he went right next to the militant Christian cult compound, and he was like, "WTF, this place where." Yeah, he picked the perfect spot. Yeah, that's crazy. Wow. Well, people gotta get so emotional over things, and people have to get all crazy over that. It's crazy. People are nuts. Yeah, Latina. Yeah, she says not Latina. It was real. They're still like the West, the old West, and basically like you have this situation where like you had the Spain people from Spain, and then you have the Mezzitos. The people that were kind of the Hispanic people, and so yeah, I could see there's some kind of a conflict. So that's an interesting way of the road stuff, and that you know what's going on in your area. Although it's unfortunate. All right, this is another place. I'll read to y'all. The Mount The Montana Gold Rush began in July 1862, when the word spread of a big strike along the banks of the Grasshopper Creek. Almost overnight, the mining town of Bannock was born. Within a year, more than 3,000 people had moved into the area. Stores open, as did dance halls, saloons, stables, meat markets, and first capital of the Montana Territory. Although its region was brief, the capital was moved about 50 miles east of Virginia City a year later. The mining town and was elected the Vigilance Committee in the Montana, hunting down the gang of road agents. Witnesses eventually identified Plummer as a member of the gang, and the testimony of the captured bandits soon pegged him as the leader of the outfit, and he was captured and hanged on January 1864. Though death became scarcer, people began to leave the town, but new mining technologies kept the place hanging on. It became a ghost town after the post office closed in 1938. A state park at which pointed the process of preservation and restoration began. Today, there are 40 structures, some made of lumber and logs and some made of brick, still standing within the town. Vinok had come to be known as a hub for paranormal activity, and reports have included the sounds of crying children and the house where the town's younger citizens were quarantined due to illnesses. The Brick Hotel Mead Buildings is said to host a